Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast Channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report, with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well.
Good evening, Exeter, and welcome to the March 30th, 2026 Town of Exeter Select Board meeting. I'd like to first say good evening to my colleagues on the board, respective town staff, those in attendance this evening, and certainly those watching at home. I'd like to start by introducing the board. To my right is Selectman Dan Chartrand. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Chair.
Our Vice Chair, Selectwoman Molly Cowan. Good evening.
Hi, everyone.
To my left, our Clerk, Selectwoman Nancy Belanger. Good evening.
Good evening, everyone.
Selectwoman Julie Gilman. Good evening.
Good evening, everyone.
And all the way to my right, our interim town manager, Melissa Roy. Good evening.
Good evening, everyone.
Our recording secretary, Joanna Bartel. Good evening. And my name is Nico Papakosendis. We have an exciting start to the board meeting this evening. We have the official swearing in of Police Chief Josh McCain, who officially started in this role on March 17th. He'd been interim police chief upon the retirement of Chief Poulin, but before I turn it over to the town clerk for the swearing in, I'd like to just say welcome to the members of the department, both present and past that are here, family members and friends of Chief McCain, and obviously some colleagues that he's worked with throughout his incredible career. Chief McCain is a graduate of Exeter High School, grew up in the area. In fact, started his career here at Exeter before moving to Portsmouth, where he worked for many years before coming back several years ago as deputy chief. So we're very happy to have him back, and I'd be remiss if I didn't say that at Exeter High School he was one hell of a baseball player. So with that, turn it over to the clerk.
Okay, Josh. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Timothy Joshua McCain,
I, Timothy Joshua McCain,
do solemnly swear and affirm
do solemnly swear and affirm
that I will bear faithful and true allegiance
that I will
that I
bear
will-
faithful and true allegiance
to the United States of America
to the United States of America
and the state of New Hampshire,
and the state of New Hampshire,
and will support the constitutions thereof.
and will support the constitutions thereof.
So help me God.
So help me God.
I, Timothy Joshua McCain,
I, Timothy Joshua McCain,
do solemnly and sincerely
do solemnly and sincerely
swear and affirm
swear and affirm
that I will faithfully and impartially
that I will faithfully and impartially
discharge and perform
discharge and perform
all the duties incumbent on me
all the duties incumbent on me
as Chief of Police,
as Chief of Police,
according to the best of my abilities,
according to the best of my abilities,
agreeable to the rules and regulations
agreeable to the rules and regulations
of this Constitution,
of this Constitution,
and enforce the laws
and enforce the laws
of the state of New Hampshire.
of the state of New Hampshire.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Josh.
So I believe the chief's wife, Sarah, is going to come and pin the badge.
Can I ask all of the Exeter police officers that are currently with us in the department to come up and take a picture as well with the chief? I know, I'm sorry, I'm being a pain.
Do you want us to move, Melissa?
I was gonna actually have you come in it. Dan had asked for all of the,
Can we get one with the department and then
Yeah.
one with us?
sure.
That'd be great.
You guys are gonna have to like pretend like you like each other or something here, because
No. There's more room down here.
all right, do we have everybody? We're not missing anybody, right? Awesome, and then if we can have this last one.
How about if we kneel in front?
There you go. I'm sure I can put, maybe put a chair down.
Yeah.
All right, Josh, I heard you start.
No one needs to.
All right.
Don't block me.
All right. Here we go. All right, great picture. Thank you so much, everybody.
All right.
Congratulations.
Appreciate it.
You bet, thank you. Congratulations.
Glad to see you all made it to the swearing in. Yay! Congratulations, Andy.
Bring up people that are in the other room. Congratulations.
Okay.
Melissa's gonna hold
Oh my God. She's never gonna get to sleep tonight. She's so excited.
everybody else.
Okay. Yeah. Fix that. Oh, that empties the room.
So I was, asking officers that I was shooting it over the house.
I can't stop. I'm thirsty. Oh,
Well, that cleared that out.
Yeah.
I'll do it.
okay.
All right.
Speak now.
We can move forward to our next item of business this evening is a bid opening for the groundwater supply improvement project. There are 2 bids, and Madam Clerk, I'm going to ask that you be patient with me because I think there's 2 or 3 parts to this bid. So
No need to ask.
We will get
Just
through
hand
this.
me the envelope, and then I can also write down, you know how to
Okay.
spell things for me. How's that?
Sure. There you are.
Good idea?
That's a great idea. Okay. So the first bid is Northeast Earth Mechanics LLC. And do I need to read the addendums? No. No, okay. Just go right to the,
Pittsfield, New Hampshire, yep.
okay. So the subtotal for Schedule A is $2,461,900. That's $2,461,900. The subtotal for Schedule B is $787,900.
700, can you repeat that?
I can. 787,900. And then I have to read one more off that. And then the total base bid, which is Schedule A and Schedule B, is $3,249,800. That's $3,249,800.
Thank you.
And then Schedule C
Ooh,
is,
okay. I'm just trying
You
to
want-
figure out how to do it. No, it's not that. It's not designed for this, but
Okay.
I will make it work.
you ready?
Yes.
Okay. $1,234,525. That's 1,234,525. And now the total bid, which is Schedules A, B, and C, is $4,484,325. That's $4,484,325.
Thank you.
And I believe that's it
Good.
for that one. Thank you.
Thank you.
And that will make the second one easier to get through. Oh, here it is. Okay, it is N. Granese and Sons Incorporated, and I'll spell Granese Granese.
Granese.
Yes.
And what was the second?
N. Granese and Sons.
And Sons,
Yep,
thank you.
Incorporated. Okay, Schedule A is $1,570,000. That's 157,000. Schedule B, and I'm sorry, this is handwritten instead of typed, $1,029,800. That's 1,029,800. The total base bid, which is Schedule A and Schedule B, is $2,599,800. That's 2,599,800. Ready for Schedule C?
I am.
Okay. And Schedule C is $1,277,950. That's 1,277,950. And the total bid is $3,877,750.
That you'll have to repeat.
That's 3,877,750.
Got it, thank you. Total.
Those are the two bids
Let's see. Yep,
for the groundwater supply improvements. Seeing no other bids, I would entertain a motion to refer the bids to the Public Works Department to make a recommendation to the Select Board.
so moved.
Second.
It's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
Oh, there you go. I just wanted to make sure
Okay.
I got them, that's all.
I didn't know what your point
You
was.
go.
Sorry, Nancy, Nancy was on top of it,
Got
excuse
it.
me.
Okay, next we have public comment. This is an opportunity for the public to come forward. We ask, though, that if your comment is relative to an agenda item, you wait until that agenda item comes up. Good evening, sir. If you could just state your name and address for the record, please.
Yeah, Mark Furlong, 24th Street. I was here in, excuse me, I think it was June, when you were discussing the Park Street Bridge. Bridge has been closed over a year. It's been 9 months since you had a discussion. I'm just looking for an update on the timetable for that.
You and everybody else in Exeter are going to get an update. It's just not going to be tonight.
Oh, I knew that.
This is something that we have been following. In fact, we just had a meeting last week where I was updated where we're at with CSX and the state. And we'll be asking Mr. Cronin to invite CSX and the state to come and update us very soon.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, hoping for
The
the.
real
end of-
reason I came tonight, though, was to talk about the recent election. I'm a 2-year resident of Exeter, but a 50-year resident of New Hampshire. For most of that time, I've been very involved in local elections, served in elected positions, appointed positions. So I pay close attention to what's going on. I commend the board on your success at the election, except for one article. And the approach that you took to developing the budget, given the constraints for the previous things that were voted in, is to be commended. But I think you need to do more in the 27 budget. Kind of looking around, not so much in Exeter, but in the rest of New Hampshire, everybody complains about taxes after the election. People are angry. We're not seeing that here in Exeter, and I'd like not to see that in Exeter. But if we have double-digit increases in our tax rate, I think we will see it. We're seeing things we've never seen before. Tax caps were on the ballot in many communities, passed in some, but not most, including my former town. And a credible, I think it's a credible, income tax proposal. I'm not even going to get into that. But what I would like to see is double down on when you start the 27 budget and take a very fiscally conservative approach. Maybe pump the brakes on the CIP for a year, give everybody a break, give the taxpayers a break, give DPW a break. They could probably use it. A lot of projects have been going on, and there's a lot of money tied up in that. So that's the input that I wanted to give you about the election. And then the final thing that I wanted to say was, I've noticed in the short time that I've lived here, Exeter does a lot of bonding, which I think is a good tool, but I'd like to see the board have a discussion about what's the minimum level that we should be looking at to bond. Because there's a lot of work that goes into that. Work by staff, work by legal counsel to review the bond documents, and I'm not sure 400,000 is that number, but that's for you to decide.
I appreciate your thoughts, and before Selectman Chartrand has a comment, I want to say thank you for your thoughts, and I don't disagree with anything you said. In fact, we started working on the 27 budget last week because it is going to be an effort. And much like we did this year, we did pump the brakes on the CIP. 2 of the 3 bond projects, the 2 that passed actually came out of the water fund. We're very cognizant. We pay taxes as well, so we're very cognizant, and we need to put forward a responsible budget that will not cut services, because folks don't want to see that either, and we certainly don't want to have to lay off employees. So that's why we started working on it a week after the election, because it is going to take a lot of effort. But I appreciate you coming forward tonight. Mr. Chartrand.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thanks for your comment. I think you're right in the big picture that the street sweeper would not normally be a bonded item. But the reason we did that was that it would make it eligible for some deferment, but SRF.
Loan forgiveness.
Loan forgiveness, thank you. So if we do it as a bond and pass it, if we were to manage to pass it, and it takes us a supermajority to pass it, we would get that loan forgiveness. If we do it as a straight expenditure, there's no SRF.
I'm not sure that was clear from the warrant.
I agree with you. I don't think people understood that they were getting it at a discount because of the so we did a good job of explaining why it was important in terms of maintaining our agreements with EPA and New Hampshire DES, but we really didn't hit the SRF loan forgiveness hard enough. So I don't know, third time's the charm, or are we just going to do it?
I've been involved in putting together a number of warrants where something like that got greater attention than it should have gotten and failed. And we made the mistake of trying it a second year, which is what we've done here. And so I think for a third year, look at doing something different if you can.
It's good advice. Thank you.
Thank you. And while you're here, thank you for the work you did on the tax exemption committee. Selectwoman Gilman.
Chair, I have a couple comments too, and in response to Mr. Furlong's comments about the level of taxes and also that one bill about the income tax. You often hear representatives and state representatives and senators say, we want to save you taxes. And that's great. But what they're doing is saving a small bit of taxes at the state level that's shared broadly across the whole state. And what they're doing is shoving things down to us. So we bear the burden of things that make it look like the state's reducing your taxes. And it's something I can't stand. And that is where that bill about the income tax came from. And it wasn't a bill to institute an income tax. It was a bill that said we will be able to think about it. Not that we will think about it or do it, but we will be able to think about it. And that's a reaction of the things that are shoved down onto your property taxes. So thank you for bringing that up.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Okay. Moving along, we have 3 sets of minutes to approve this evening, the first of which was from the special meeting on March 11th, 2026. I would first ask if there are any amendments or revisions.
So I'll doing March 11th, 2026 first. Just we're under members present, the third line down, line 10, there's an extra word in there. It says Molly Cowan will joined, just strike will.
Okay.
And I didn't know if on 18 we should have a time there when Molly joined us, or probably not relevant, doesn't matter.
I'm trying to remember that meeting.
That was, forget my last one. Just strike the word will. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, no, I'm good with that. Any other revisions? Okay, seeing none, I would entertain a motion to approve the Town of Exeter Select Board special meeting minutes of March 11th, 2026.
As amended, so moved.
As amended, yes.
Second.
It's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Then we have our regular meeting minutes of March 16th, 2026. Are there any revisions or amendments?
I do have one, Mr. Chair.
Please.
and I might have misspoken when I said this, but the train committee has changed their name to the train station committee. So if we could add station between train and committee on page 7,
You did say that.
that would be correct.
Page 7. What line number?
It's line 265.
Got it. Thank you. Train station, Julie.
Any other revisions?
Yeah, on page 3, at line 128, just using the wrong form of theirs. Instead of the THERE, it's the THIR apostrophe.
They are.
They are.
Anything else?
Actually, yeah, they are.
Okay. Seeing no others, I would entertain a motion to approve the Town of Exeter Select Board meeting minutes of Monday, March 16, 2026, as amended.
So moved.
Second.
It's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
And I'll abstain
Passes.
too.
Joanne, that was 4-0 with one abstention. And finally, we have the meeting minutes from March 19th, 2026.
I have no.
The only one I have is, I don't think it was a Monday.
It was a Thursday.
Oh. Very good. Good catch.
Anybody else?
No?
Okay. Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to approve the Town of Exeter Select Board meeting minutes from March 19th, 2026, as amended.
So moved.
Second.
It's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. At our last meeting, we interviewed Elaine Hayes for two boards that she wanted to interview for, and upon further, I believe she accepted our invitation and went to the planning board
She
meeting
did.
to kind of get a feel for it, and also watched some of the rec advisory committees, and I think maybe had a subsequent conversation. But she would like to move forward with being an alternate to the planning board, and she's going to pause on the rec advisory board for now. So I would entertain a motion to appoint Elaine Hayes as an alternate to the planning board with a term to expire April 2028.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes, and thank you, Elaine, for volunteering. So we'll jump into our discussion items, the first of which is our Public Works Director, Steve Cronin, is here to talk about two requests for future public hearings before the board. Mr. Cronin, good evening.
Sorry, I had something else first, but that's okay.
Next is
Would-
the town.
Sorry, I apologize.
Thanks.
This is what happens when you're sick. I apologize.
That's okay.
So we, Steve Cronin, or Director Cronin and I have been working with two different neighborhoods over about the last year in different capacities and in different ways. We've had residents come and chat with us from both of those areas to talk about various issues. And I think at this point, what we have determined is the best way forward for us would be to request that the board go through a public hearing process. So the first one is the Wadley Street neighborhood. This is over by the Rose Farm construction area. They are looking to put in a three-way stop. They have a few more other requests, but we're not quite sure that those are going to work. But anytime we add signage in that way, we do need to have a public hearing and request that from the select board. So Steve and I would like to request that we set up, or we vote to go through the public hearing process. And then the other neighborhood is Cass Street, where we have a resident who would like no parking on a certain street, certain side of the street. And again, because it's a change to roadway signs, we would go through the public hearing process. What that would be 3 public hearings. We would notify all of the abutters in all of the different neighborhoods. that are affected. We would invite them to come and speak. Steve and I would talk with them. There would be some information as to what they're looking to change. And then the board, depending on what they felt after the third hearing, would decide whether that was appropriate or not. So this is our process. Our process says that we need to come ask you guys to set up a public hearing.
So Public Works has looked at both situations along with public safety and got some input from staff. There is some merit to the concerns of the neighborhood. We would just like to get the perspective of the whole neighborhood before we make a decision. As Melissa said, Wadley, that's related to the Rose Farm subdivision, that did go through a planning board process. There were some traffic changes made there as a result of that, but through construction and some increased traffic in that area, there's some additional concern that I think we should look at a little bit more closely. As far as Cass goes, there may not be a consensus from the whole road, but I think it's at least worthwhile to hear about their concerns as it relates to not just traffic on the parking on the road, but also traffic and then some intersection impacts maybe further up the way from that. So I think it would be helpful to get some public input before we make any sort of permanent changes to either one of those roads.
Thank you both. I've also communicated through correspondence with several folks that live in the Wadley Street neighborhood, and I agree that I think it's worth having the 3 public hearings. Chief McCain has worked with his department to increase patrol in that area. They used the stealth radar to get some data recently, so I think that's all valuable information as well. So I would encourage the board to consider initiating these public hearings.
I'm fine with it.
Okay.
I think it's needed. Yeah.
Appreciate that. Any other questions for Cronin? Then with that, I would entertain a motion to initiate the public hearing process for the following 2 requests: the Wadley Street neighborhood and the Cass Street neighborhood.
So moved. Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Thank you. Okay. Not used to the packet being stapled.
Yes.
Yeah, that's why something wasn't in the right order. That's why I thought we jumped.
That's why I got a little confused.
Yeah,
No
me too.
worries.
Yeah, it's okay. Got it.
That's my fault.
I was going by the agenda.
Right, and that was in it.
So our next discussion item is an update on the town manager search. And I have a statement that has been written on behalf of the Select Board that I would like to read. The Exeter Select Board is pleased to announce the appointment of Paul Cohen of Harvard, Massachusetts as the town of Exeter's next town manager. Mr. Cohen will officially begin his role on May 26, 2026. The selection follows a comprehensive and competitive national search process. The position was widely posted, resulting in 25 qualified applicants. From this pool, 4 candidates were selected for initial interviews. The initial interview was held with the following staff: the executive team interim town manager Melissa Roy, finance director Corey Stevens, the vice chair Cowan, and me. Following these interviews, one candidate emerged as a clear frontrunner and was invited to participate in a second round of meetings with key department heads, which included Public Works Director Cronin, Fire Chief Pizon, Police Chief McCain, and our HR Director. Also involved in the interview was Corey Stevens, Finance Director, Melissa Roy, Interim Town Manager, and I was also there as well. After receiving strong and unanimous positive feedback from staff, the candidate advanced to a final interview with the Select Board. The board subsequently negotiated the terms of a contract, and the candidate successfully completed all required background checks. The offer was made to the candidate after unanimous support from the 5 Select Board members. Mr. Cohen brings more than 36 years of municipal management experience, including 19 years as a town manager in Chelmsford, Massachusetts. Throughout his career, he has demonstrated a strong commitment to effective governance, financial stewardship, and organizational leadership in communities that value accountability and high-quality public service. During his tenure in Chelmsford, Mr. Cohn oversaw all aspects of municipal operations, including budgeting, personnel, and long-term planning. His accomplishments include improving and maintaining a AAA bond rating, advancing major capital projects, strengthening financial reserves, and leading municipalities through complex challenges such as economic downturns and the COVID-19 pandemic. His leadership style emphasizes transparency, communication, and respect for community values. In addition to his professional experience, Mr. Cohen has held numerous leadership roles within regional and statewide organizations. He currently serves as chair of the Massachusetts Interlocal Insurance Association Board, and he's also the president of the Middlesex 3 Coalition, among other affiliations. This reflects his commitment to collaboration and public service beyond the communities he directly serves. The Select Board is confident that Mr. Cohen is the right leader to guide Exeter into the future. His experience and approach align with the town's commitment to accountability, transparency, and prudent fiscal oversight, values that are important to Exeter residents. We are excited to welcome Paul to Exeter. His depth of experience, collaborative leadership style, and proven track record make him exceptionally well suited to serve our community. Mr. Cohen has signed a 5-year employment agreement with the town of Exeter. His contract, along with his professional resume, will be included in the next Select Board meeting packet and made available to the public. It was not included in this packet because of timing of the signatures, but we will include that in the next packet. The town of Exeter looks forward to Mr. Cohen's leadership and to continuing to provide high-quality services for the community under his direction. Thoughts and comments from the board?
Mr. Chair, I'll lead off. I was very impressed with his, and you mentioned it in your statement, his commitment to collaborative leadership. That was a very important thing for me going into the process, and it became clear in our conversation with him as a Select Board that that collaborative team leadership is an essential way for him to operate. So I was very impressed with that, and that, along with his depth of experience, made it very easy for me to say, yeah, this is the right person for this job.
Thank you.
The only thing that I would add to that was the inclusion of our department heads and our senior leadership team. You know, I think that was who I was looking to, especially as we were, you know, really, really clear after the first round of interviews, like this was the person that we felt comfortable with, and then making sure to understand how everybody else viewed him. That was the thing that was like, okay, the vibes are good. And also hearing him describe the work that he's done in Massachusetts for years and years and years in the community.
Thank you.
So he spent approximately 2 hours with us, with the entire Select Board, and I had no concerns whatsoever in meeting him. He answered a lot of our questions, elaborated on them. I felt he was well-informed. He has watched many of our meetings, not just the Select Board, but many of our meetings. He seems well-informed with our process, and he fully supports the Keegan report, which I think we all are using that as a way to move forward with our town. And I, for one, am really looking forward to working with him.
Thank you.
I had to leave the meeting rather shortly because I was at the State House, but I was impressed with his personability, his personable interactions, and I feel that he's represented how he will react to with the public. And I think that's important, that the leader of our town listens to people and has a positive reaction to what they're at, you know, the events that occur, and that he's a participant in our lives.
Thank you. He'd certainly done his homework. When we interviewed him 3 times, he had watched our deliberative session. He'd watched Select Board meetings. He watched a few Planning Board meetings. And, I think during his last two interviews, anyway, he's ready to hit the pavement. He already had ideas of moving forward, with the budget challenges that we had. He was well versed in what we've been facing. I think we met him right after the election, and he was up to speed with everything that had passed and the one thing that didn't. But I also wanted, there's something that Selectman Chartrand said, for all 4 candidates that we interviewed, they had all gone online and read the Keegan report. And I'm highlighting that because it's just such an important document that we've adopted. And all 4 had read it, and all 4, showed an excitement to carry on with that. But I think clearly for what Exeter is looking for right now, in terms of the leadership, collaboration, and what Mr. Cohen will bring to our town, I'm very excited.
The only thing I'm going to add to this is that when we had our meeting for people to come talk, and we had 2 people, and one of the concerns was it should be somebody that lives in town. I understood that concern. However, it would have really limited our potential candidates. And I think we all asked about the traveling, and none of us are concerned that he won't be able to be on his job when he needs to be on his job. We have several town employees that travel, and there has not been any problem with them being able to do their jobs. So I just wanted to
thank you for bringing
take a
that
moment
up.
on that one. Yeah.
Thank you for bringing that up. And I think one of the reasons why the board was willing to be flexible with that requirement, there are a couple of reasons, but of the 4 folks that we interviewed, of the 25 resumes we reviewed, nobody lived in Exeter. There were folks that didn't even live in New England. The 4 that we identified, 2 live in New Hampshire, but one of those folks, even though they live in New Hampshire, their commute is just as far as Mr. Cohen's will be from Harvard, number one. Number two, I think the board talked during our public meeting about if we found the right candidate, we were willing to be flexible with that resident requirement because, and I work with over 300 municipalities in Massachusetts, and it's very rare that the town manager lives in the town. And I think that, for me anyway, it was worth considering a request of, waiving a residency requirement because when folks go home, they should be able to go home. And if you look at all of the affiliations that Mr. Cohen is associated with in Chelmsford, I can't believe that he's home much. So I think Mr. Cohen is going to be in Exeter quite a bit. In fact, I know he's going to be. So at least for me, and I think for the rest of the board, we were comfortable in this case with waiving that requirement. So. All right. Did you get all that?
Excited to work with him. Looking forward to it.
Any questions or comments from the public? And as I said, Mr. Cohen will start on May 26th. Interim manager Roy will continue acting as interim manager until he arrives on the 26th. So, okay, our next agenda.
Mr. Chair.
Oh, go ahead, please.
I would like to thank our interim town manager for all she has done to pick up the slack over the last, what is it now, 6 months?
8 months.
8 months. And I also want to thank our finance director. The two remaining members of the E-team did a great job across those 8 months. So thank you both, Melissa and Corey.
And I second that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And words can't even describe how much you've both, I know it's a team effort, but you really have gotten us through, along with our chair, I'm going to add, that have gotten us through some tight times. I don't know the right word, but and so thank you.
Thank you. Director Stevens and I are very, very excited to have been part of the process and really look forward to working with Mr. Cohen. And a town manager of that caliber coming in, we're very lucky as a staff and I think very lucky as residents for Exeter. So we really look forward to it.
I think one of the last things he said in the first interview was, and again, he had watched the deliberative session, and he was very excited to work with the two of you because he'd seen your presentation, particularly the budget. He talked about the dollar bill. I mean, it just so he's just as excited to work with you two, and I think he knows that he's coming in to work with two really great people in the E team.
Very professional people, and with our town planner now back, we're getting there with staff. So.
At our last meeting, I had asked for an update on just the value of the grants that both Dave Sharples, our planning director, and Kristen Murphy, our Conservation and Sustainability Department coordinator, have put together through the years. So we have a memo in our board, but Melissa, I didn't know if you wanted to just speak to this real quickly.
Sure. So as always, Dave and Kristen do such a fantastic job looking outside of our town taxes and finding funding sources through grants and programming. What I will say in the first item, which is 2026, $1 million investment tax credit, that is something we're applying for. Our solar array does qualify for it, but we had to wait, and Corey can explain this a little better, but we had to wait till it was up and going, and then there was a process that municipalities could put in for that. So that we very excited about. And then the Transportation Alternatives Program is also waiting for governor and council's signature. But we were told that we've received it, but we're waiting, for everything to be final. But just in general, I think that Dave and Kristen understand the financial constraints that we have, and we have a population, especially those that work with Kristen in sustainability and energy, and we have this invigorated population here in Exeter, and they're able to do so much because they're able to find outside funding. So it's a really fantastic program. I know, or programs that she finds. I know that she had one of her programs, actually one of our staff was able to take advantage of one of them, which was for some of the residents here in Exeter. So they do a fantastic job, and I would like to thank them for all of their hard work and everything they bring to the town.
Indeed.
I'll just say, with these grants, with Mr. Sharples and Kristen doing this, it allows us to get done so much more of the projects that we need to do with getting this funding. Otherwise, we would be so behind on our CIP schedule. And especially, we knew that for this year's budget and probably next year's budget, we really have to tighten the belt a little bit. So grants are really important to us being able to continue the work we want to do here.
And if I may, I would like to talk about one other person. So Greg actually happens to be in the room, but Director Bisson is our Park and Rec Director, and he was able to get a CDFA grant, which allowed us to bring 10 Hampton Road at the Multi-Generational Community Center, and Planet Playground, he got a 50% match for LWCF, which I think was, $240,000, some 237. $297.50. So we're really lucky. We have staff in all different departments looking for alternative funding. We've been talking a lot about Planet Playground lately. So Director Cronin, does SRF programs and stuff like that. So we're very lucky with all of our staff.
Yeah, across the board.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Selectwoman Gilman, did you have a thought?
Yes, I just would like to say thank you, and it's outstanding. I know the police and fire departments do the same kind of thing for things they that they need. Some of these grants here are for needs that are not priority, so it's not easy, but it's a way to fund those projects without asking the taxpayers to pay for them. But you get a good result that's going to be useful to the public and our boards and committees. So.
Thank you. And I'd also like to acknowledge you, Melissa, through the years, not only working with staff on grants, but during COVID and after COVID, working with our congressional delegates in Washington and identifying every opportunity to to get additional funding, oftentimes with 24 hours to get the paperwork in, and you were masterful at that, so I also
Thank
want
you.
to give you credit for that.
If we can just get updates on this every, maybe even 6 months, I think it's important that the voters are reminded of how much money our staff is saving us with these grants. Yes, some of them are a lot of work, but without them, we wouldn't be able to do some of our infrastructure and other things that we are able to do here.
We can certainly do that.
Happy to do that.
Okay, great. Anything else? Mr. Stevens, hiding in the corner. Good night, Steve.
Excuse me.
Good night.
Thank you, Steve.
Good evening.
Hello.
I didn't get up during the public comment on Paul Cohen, but just thank you for the kind words and thank you for the vote of confidence over the last 8 months. I think part of being able to do what Melissa did and I tagged along on was knowing that we had you guys, your support, and knowing we had our directors who are all top-notch as well that we could rely on. It's nice to be at this point. I want to say yay. But, I also know that we had it covered by and large, during that time. But he will be a welcome addition. We were comfortable with him from the 15 minutes in, and I think everybody who had a chance to meet with him felt the same way. So I think we're on solid footing.
Thank you.
So I am here tonight to briefly go over our investment results and our investment policy for 2026. As I've done annually every year since I've come on board, I've met with you to review our investment policy and ask you to re-adopt the policy as we need to per the policy document. When I came to you at the end of 2025, I suggested that we start doing this early in the year, where I could give you an update on how we did in the prior year as far as investment results. I think hopefully we can continue to do well. It becomes important as we look for ways to make money outside of property taxes, and I think we are focused on it now pretty carefully. You'll recall that in 2024 at the end I had done a pretty significant policy update that you adopted, and part of that included enhancing the reporting requirements within the policy that I'll give to you tonight. Pretty high level, but it does call for letting everybody know how we did. So the purpose of our investment policy is really to give us guidelines on what we do with our public funds that aren't immediately needed for expenditures. After tax season, we're kind of flush with cash, if you will, and those funds can be used prudently, and we need to do so. So the policy kind of guides us on how we go about that process. Our objectives within the policy are threefold. Primarily, they're safety and liquidity. We want to make sure our assets are safe from fraud and abuse and theft. We want to make sure they're preserved so they're there when we need them. We're not eroding their purchasing power. And we want to make sure they are there. They need to be liquid. We can only do so much with them. We can't lock them up in investments that we can't get to very quickly. And you'll see that in the portfolio that we maintain. So beyond those two objectives, then we have getting a return on our money. So what can we do with it while it is idle to sort of keep up with inflation, which is essentially what we do by and large. So our approach to investing is quite boring and conservative. All I do is invest in 30 and 60-day CDs. Occasionally, if one can go up further than that, I will, if the interest rate is attractive beyond 60 days. What's different in 2026, if you recall, in January, I'll let you all know that we changed banking partners. We're now with TD Bank. And they've really sort of opened my eyes to making sure that all of our cash, both in our operating accounts, our construction loan accounts, as well as the cash that we can put into CDs, is all invested in some sort of interest-bearing accounts. So the difference in 26 is that essentially there isn't a dollar that we have almost entirely that isn't doing something for us while it sits there on the sidelines. So the move, and on top of that, we've also had an opportunity with moving to TD to strengthen some of our processes. For instance, the way we do deposits now. We do all of our deposits right here in the building electronically. We have a courier come and pick them up. It's secure. We don't have to send people to the bank anymore. So things like that are important but small and help in terms of that security objective. So on page 2 of the memo that I drafted, I have sort of a breakdown of 2025 and our investment, results, and then what we're doing in 2026. I've broken it down between the general fund, which is primarily where our money sits, and then the TIF district, because it does represent a fairly significant amount of money at this point. The average rate of interest return, if you will, I just did an average based on beginning and end of year interest rates that we had. We did see a decline, as you all know, during the year in the interest rates as the Fed dropped rates a little bit. But overall, our general funds had a $500,000 interest income budget, and we made about $64,000 more than that. So that's okay in my book. And then the TIF district, we opened a CD last year with the money that we still have in the TIF, not the money we're using to do projects, but the money that we, through the appreciation of value, and we were able to earn about $175,000 of interest income there. The average, the breakup between, or the breakdown between cash and CDs was a 70-30 split. At one point, we were at about 38%. Our policy calls for a limit of 75%, no more than 75% in certificates of deposit at any one time. So going into 2026, I mentioned that most, if not all, of our funds are invested in some way. And this gives you at the bottom of the page sort of what the approximate value is as of last week, and then the interest rate that we're earning on those funds. And I think if you were to look at the cash to certificate breakdown, it's about a 60-40 split at the moment. Obviously our capital loan fund is flush with a public safety complex loan, which will be depleted pretty quickly throughout the year, and it's not something we do often. It's a pretty large borrow for us, so that will drop, and we won't see that again probably for some time. So that's about it. If any questions, I'm happy to answer. But that's kind of what we did last year and what we're doing this year.
Great, thank you for that
You're welcome.
review. Are there any questions for Mr. Stevens? So Corey, I think the action plan you need tonight is for us to readopt.
Please.
Okay, all right. If there are no questions, then I would entertain a motion to readopt the town's investment policy for the investment of public funds in accordance with New Hampshire RSA 41:9 Roman numeral 7.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you.
Are you ready?
There's a few here, so just be patient if I have to get a drink of water.
The good thing is I think some of them can be bundled.
I already have a plan.
Awesome. I should have known that.
So I'm going to move the following timber tax. Map 65, Lot 118, in the amount of $8.72 for the tax year 2026.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
I move the following abatement for map 65, Lot 127, Unit A, in the amount of $20,242.04 for the tax year 2025.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
I move the following solar exemption for map 70, lot 73, in the amount of $12,000 for the tax year 2026.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, I'm going to bundle a few of these. A veterans credit, I move the following map 86, lot 20, unit 4, and map 95, lot 64, unit 29, both or each in the amount of $500 for tax years 2026.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
And I move map 64, lot 5, and map 68, lot 6, unit 147, in the amount of $2,500 for the tax year 2026.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
And map 101, lot 8, unit 4, in the amount of $1,000 for the tax year 2026.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
I believe I've got all the veterans credits. Now on to all veterans credits. I'm going to lump all of these together. So map 95, lot 64, unit 36. Map 54, lot 4, unit 11. Map 26, lot 22. Map 68, lot 6, unit 115. Map 68, lot 6, unit 241. Map 68, lot 6, unit 121, each in the amount of $500 and each for the tax year 2026.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Elderly exemptions. I move the following. Map 95, lot 64, unit 49. Map 104, lot 35. Map 95, lot 64, unit 168. Map 104, lot 79, unit 226. Map 95, lot 64, unit 365. And map 104, lot 79, unit 125, each in the amount of $198,000 and each for the tax year 2026.
Second.
Any discussion?
I do have a question.
Please.
So we say $198,000, that's the value of the the property that is reduced,
Right.
and then the tax is figured on that.
Right.
So I had a constituent ask if we were giving that much out in tax deferment, and I'm like, no, that's not what's happening. It reduces the value of the property, and then the tax is figured on the reduced amount. Thank you.
Thank you for the question.
Yep.
It's a good question, though. Because otherwise it looks like,
Right.
oh, my God.
The difference between exemptions and credits.
That's right.
Right.
I know you moved that. There was a second.
Julie, second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Map 64, lot 105, unit 32, in the amount of $307,000 for the tax year 2026.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Map 95, lot 53, in the amount of $238,000 for the tax year 2026.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
And map 95, lot 64, unit 65, was denied for the tax year 2026.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
A few more to go. Okay, map 52, lot 77, in the amount of $25,000 for the tax year 2026. And I should note, this is a blind exemption.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
I have 2 religious exemptions. I move for map 91, lot 32, unit E, in the amount of $2,879,900 for the tax year 2026.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
And map 73, lot 143, in the amount of $1,037,200 for the tax year 2026.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, so I have the following charitable exemptions. This one's going to take a little longer. So I have map 65, lot 146, in the amount of $2,735,100 for the tax year 2026.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Map 65, lot 129, unit 1, in the amount of $12,434. Excuse me, let me start over on that one. That's $12,434,400 for the tax year 2026,
Second.
There's a motion and a second, and that was $12,434,400.
400, yes.
Joanna, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Map 65, lot 128, in the amount of $42,400 for the tax year 2026.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Map 65, lot 130, in the amount of $14,928,400 for the tax year 2026.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Map 51, lot 131, in the amount of $51,821,200 for the tax year 2026.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries.
Map 71, lot 47, unit 1, in the amount of 0 for the tax year 2026. And this is a hospital right-of-way.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, this will be 2. Map 86, lot 10, unit 10, and map 86, lot 10, unit 11, each the amount of $100 and each for the tax year of 2026.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, map 65, lot 131, unit 3, in the amount of $3,988,700 for the tax year 2026.
Second.
It's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Map 71, lot 48, unit E, in the amount of $74,800 for the tax year 2026.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Map 63, lot 8, in the amount of $328,300 for the tax year 2026.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Map 82, lot 13, in the amount of $4,097,900 for the tax year 2026.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Home stretch. Map 72, lot 206, in the amount of $1,581,600 for the tax year 2026.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Wait till the next one, right? One of the pages.
Very well done. Next, we have permits and approvals. We have our Parks and Rec Director, Greg Bisson, with us this evening. He's got 3 presentations. Welcome back. We haven't seen you in a while.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, if you indulge, I'd like to bring Skylar up from Seacoast Eats Local.
Please, welcome.
She's the first in your packet, Mr. Chair. and
Could you just introduce Scott for the record so Joanna can get that in the minutes? Or Skylar, could you introduce yourself?
Yeah.
My name is Skylar Amsden. I'm here on behalf of Seacoast Eat Local.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Sorry, Mr. Chair. As you can see in your packet, we have come to you because of alcohol and sampling sales at the farmer's market. I go into a very long detail in this memo. I'm not going to read it verbatim, obviously. As you all know, Seacoast Eat Local took over the farmer's market in 2022 from the Seacoast Growers Association, well-established organization in the Seacoast, running 6 farmers markets. So the state law, the RSA, as I mentioned in here, allows for alcohol sales and sampling at farmers markets, and it's very well laid out. Initially, Chief McCain had some apprehension. We met with Skylar and Sean from Seacoast Eats Local, where they're very well organized and laid out their plan. And after discussions, we also have notes in here from our meeting we had. But Skylar, if you would like to go over like the policies you currently do, and then talk about the organization and how you've run this before.
Yeah, thank you for having me. The opportunity to speak is greatly appreciated, especially on behalf of our alcohol vendors. So we've been managing farmers markets since 2007. I haven't personally, but I've been involved with them for over 10 years. And alcohol vendors have been a big portion at the Exeter Farmers Market as well as others. And sampling has been part of the farmers market environment for many years, but it's not, having alcohol there is not creating a culture of drinking. It's 2 very separate things. So we have quite a few policies in place to ensure that. So I'll go over a couple of them. One being that samples must be consumed and completely finished at the vendor booth that they are given. 2, that they may not leave the booth area with samples, kind of goes in hand with that. That customers cannot add samples to a personal drink or beverage of any kind. And this year we are requiring that alcohol samples be sold, so there will be no free samples given. We've also set a maximum of 2 wine or spirit vendors for Exeter specifically. And the goal is really to ensure that alcohol consumption remains contained and monitored at those vendor booths specifically. And we're discouraging individuals that are looking to drink to go elsewhere because the market is not the place to do so. Our alcohol vendors sell very high-end products for, I think I put on here, roughly $30 to $50 a bottle. So it's quite the investment for folks. We have like really nice high-end quality vendors coming. So the ability to sample is very significant. Because it is quite the investment. So it's very impactful on the alcohol vendors. They attend various markets throughout the state and other states that do and don't allow sampling, and have been very transparent about the difference it makes in their sales and their overall revenue. So I guess that's what I can share on behalf of them. But I'm happy to answer any questions at all. Of course, Liquor Commission paperwork tells you exactly where they are. I have to include a map. So it's not only the dates that they'll be on Swayze Parkway, but it's where they will be located. We keep all of their licensing on file. And between you and I and who else listens to this, they are the type of vendors that follow policies much better than the others. They know what they're doing. They're very well adversed and are truly the least of my worries. So personally, I've never had, in my years working for Seacoast Heat Local, I've never had a problem with an alcohol vendor, nor alcohol in general. And the same is true on behalf of our organization. We've reviewed this at hand between working with multiple towns, and because this came up in the last year in regards to Exeter.
So up until this point, Exeter has asked for no samples, so that's why they're here tonight. One of the interesting things to think about is that the state and the way that they designate a farmer's market. A farmer's market is an event in which, and I'm going to say this a little bit paraphrased here, but essentially two agricultural growers or sales need to be there, and then it is considered a farmer's market. So it is a little challenging for us to think about because we have this amazing farmer's market that has been in town for years and years and years and is gigantic. But because of the definition, this could also be an organization renting out the parkway, and as long as they have two agricultural vendors, they're considered a farmer's market, and therefore they could invite other sales for sampling and that kind of stuff. And so because of such a broad definition of farmer's market, up until this point, we have just universally said no, so that there wasn't any one organization feeling like we were saying yes to them or that kind of stuff. It's up to the select board as to what they would like to do. It is a challenging decision.
So you partially, if I may, answered the question I was going to ask, but it's
Okay.
now leading me to, I want to finish asking the question. I didn't, but then also that leads me to some other things. So the only time alcohol is served presently in the Parkway is the beer and chili fest that's run in conjunction with Parks and Rec and the Chamber. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and that's a one-off annually that comes before the board every year.
It is, and it's also different in the sense of it is completely snow fenced off.
Right.
There's a perimeter created, all that kind of stuff.
And it's town sponsored.
Yeah, it's town sponsored, and a farmer's market doesn't need to be coned off or cordoned off.
So that leads me to my concern, Skylar's not with the farmer's market. My concern is what Ms. Roy was alluding to, that this could open up the potential for other organizations to, how should I put this? To permit something and want to serve alcohol and sort of get across that bridge by having two agricultural vendors there. Is that possible?
It is possible. Mhm.
And that would be, could be less policed than obviously what you've described.
Correct, yep.
Interesting.
Mr. Chair?
Please.
Could we put something in our, I don't know, what is this, regulations? Where we have to have an experience with a vendor for a certain number of years before we allow this? I mean, we have a long-term relationship with the farmer's market and the Seacoast Heat Local management of it.
That one may be tough to hold, Dan. That's the
Yeah, so I think it comes down to the definition of a farmer's market, because in that scenario, we'd be saying one farmer's market is okay, but another farmer's market is not.
Well,
because of the definition of the state, that's what gets us.
but the reason I'm comfortable with this is that I know you folks run a tight ship, and that's based on years of experience. So
that's the dilemma.
Yeah, I mean.
No, Dan and Mr. Chair.
Yes.
One of the things that we did discuss is, things we were recommending would be all vendors supply Seacoast East Local with the liquor license. They supply us, and they name the town co-insured. We do have the alcohol permit, so $200 per vendor. Obviously, their event is 6 months, so they can monitorize that and spread it out through their whole time, where the one-offs a vendor may not want to come in if there's an additional fee for that. No more than 2 vendors, obvious, per week, allowing a sample and this is Chief McCain, actually, one person can buy up per week up to 3 per day samples. So obviously, depending on what beverage they're doing or the vendors have, you're talking, if it's a distillery, it's a half ounce of liquor. So it's an ounce and a half total that they could have. And we have 100% faith in Skylar and SEL.
Well, I don't have I read your memo. I don't have a problem. I'm with Selectman Chartrand in that we've worked with you for a number of years. You know, you've done this in other towns quite successfully, and you've outlined. So speaking for myself, my issue is not with SEL. My concern is what precedent are we as a town, has nothing to do with you. What precedent are we setting for future organizations to come in and try to, get around the no alcohol on the premises by using, I think we have to be very careful as we consider this. Nothing to do with your farmer's market. I want to be very clear with that. It's more of overall for the town of Exeter, what are we opening up?
Yeah, opening a loophole. Can I ask a question? So, again, you guys do a wonderful job, so we don't want to discourage you at all. This is just looking at unintended consequences. But now I know it's a half an ounce. So you can have up to 2 vendors. Each vendor can do 3 samples, right? Okay, so it's an ounce and a half times 2, really.
Correct.
Okay, just wanted to get that down.
But
How do you?
That's if, Nancy, they're both distilleries. She has wine, and wine is different ounces, 2 ounces, I believe, for wine.
I've left it up to the
Yeah.
vendor as of now.
Okay, so can I get a little clarification on that for numbers? So if it's a wine vendor, they can buy up to 3 samples at 2 ounces each? Is that right?
Well, the RSA says no more than 2 ounces. So
Each?
Each.
So we're talking about 6 ounces per vendor if they're both wine?
Yep.
Okay, so now we're up to 12 ounces possibly. Okay. How do they ID people?
They're trained to ID every person.
But they do ID. It wasn't
Yes.
clear in here, so. Okay, so we're talking a lot more ounces depending on, thank you.
No, that's a good question.
Could I ask, or put in something? Liquor commission paperwork has to be signed for each vendor. I don't know how this differs for the other event or what other events would look like. But we send paperwork every year that the vendor fills out, and it has to be signed by the town and sent to the state. That specifies whether it's just retail or if samples are allowed. I don't know if that's helpful or if that, just because I don't know how the other events, how the paperwork looks, but every year we have to get this paperwork signed for every single alcohol vendor. So if it was unapproved one year, that would be caught. So there wouldn't be samples written, and that would not be approved through the town or through the state.
Yeah, I think you want to answer that because it's a different definition.
Yeah, so anybody that, right now, the only event in which we have alcohol sales is the powder keg. And that is a very formal process that Greg does for all of the brewers or distilleries that come in. We don't have a single thing down at Swayze, but we'll have somebody that maybe rents out the town hall, and they have to go through coming to the select board, like she said, and going to the liquor commission. So we do have a formalized process for that. Yeah. So there's no difference there.
I don't know. How many other of your farmers markets do allow sampling?
All currently.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I think I totally understand.
All but one.
All but one, right.
All but one, that's in a
Are
school.
we the one?
All but one.
Oh, all but one? Other than us, okay.
I don't know. I think that I think we should be prudent and not open up to unintended consequences. And also, I think what I'm struggling with is thinking through not being so restrictive that we're not being innovative, or thinking about like what other cool things could we have in our town as we're thinking, you know, what are the possibilities here? I do not think that we should change the process around having to be very, very meticulous and very careful, because I agree. Like, I think that is totally appropriate. And I don't want to see us cutting our nose off to spite our face, or thinking like we have to be so careful that we cannot trust people who do this all the time to do it well.
I think we can trust the vendors and their patrons with a maximum of 12 ounces of wine or 3 ounces of distilled liquor.
Yeah.
I think we're going to be okay.
I do too.
Well, you know, and I agree with you, and I've said that 3 times.
Yeah.
My problem is not with SEL. My problem is not with innovation. My problem is with loopholes. And I'm wondering, Mr. Bisson, do you understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Okay, so tell me how you can assure me that my concerns are for naught.
And my concerns.
Any instance of, as I put in any instance of non-compliance will result in that.
No, but that's for SEL. I'm talking about, I'm good with this.
No, like that, I think that covers everyone. Anyone that would come in and has a festival or something down there and says, hey, I want to have this. I qualify under the RSA. Bring them up here in front of the board, and the board yays or nays them, or comes down to where are they compliant. That's why putting in, I think, that vendor fee kind of will dissuade people from doing it, because they're not only charging a vendor fee to attend their festival, but also to the town to do it.
Who, excuse me, Mr. Chair, if I can.
Please.
Who sets that vendor fee? If it's a group that just puts up two farmers market stalls, then they have the right to charge a fee.
Oh, absolutely.
So they may charge $10.
Fair point, Julie, but we don't ever ask anyone running an event down there what they charge for vendors.
Yep, okay.
Again, though, it's a max of 12 ounces of wine.
It's not, well,
No, but I mean,
I don't want to
under our
argue with you, Mr.
regulations,
Chartrand.
no matter who
It's not,
is running.
I would love to come to the farmer's market and buy high-end wine. I'm a wine drinker. I mean, that's exciting to me. So, you know, I'm not saying that 12 ounce, what I'm trying to look at what could happen, or a better way to put this, how this could be taken advantage of. And I think we have the responsibility to, you know, we have this in front of us. It's a great idea for them, but what can of worms is that going to open that maybe won't make you smile next time?
But those limits are on any organization, not just SEO. So the guidelines work. If someone wants to drive 2 agricultural vendors through a loophole, it's not really worth it. It's just not. The scale of what
And I don't
we're
know that I disagree
permitting-
with you. I just,
Yeah,
I'm
no,
not
I know.
comfortable
We're
with,
being-
yeah.
I'm not dismissing your concern. I'm just saying, I think we
I
got it
appreciate
covered. I think we have it covered here with these limits. But, you know, if it goes wrong,
So
you
if-
know who to talk to.
So if I may,
Please.
I think if you were to move forward with this, maybe one of the things that could be done is that these suggestions live on in any vendor. So these were the suggestions that Greg and Chief McCain now came up with, and maybe those become the universal guidelines for all farmers markets here in Exeter if they qualify under that definition.
I was assuming that.
Well, so the state has certain regulations, and then Greg and Chief McCain came up with these additional ones.
Which I like. And
Yeah.
those should be the guidelines for any organization running anything in public in Exeter. I mean, I think that really limits how much someone can intake. If the limits are enforced, and if they're not, They're out.
I have a question, if I may, Mr. Chair. Police detail, the Chili Fest, we have police officers everywhere with the alcohol, and we have people making sure nobody goes beyond with their, we don't have such a policy for this, right? So we should think about adding a police detail if we're going to serve alcohol. We
So-
do it.
Do we do that when we?
So
We do.
currently, the farmer's market is not required
Right.
to have a police detail, so that would be an added expense that
No, but
they-
can I ask,
Oh.
when we permit something at the town hall, like if we permit something other than the Chili Fest, which
Yeah.
is, its own
Yeah.
thing, right? And I get where you're going, but there's a lot,
Mm-hmm. I was thinking
there's
of
more than
Chili
12
Fest.
ounces being consumed
Yeah.
probably at the Chili Fest. But when we've permitted the town hall
Yeah.
for, we've had a beer garden out here, right, in the last couple of years, I think.
There's been a scholarship
Yeah.
thing.
Do we have police? We don't,
They don't
Okay.
ever require it.
I'm not familiar with the event you just talked about, so I don't remember.
oh, we've had a couple. We've had,
So, just the Chili Fest, we have police detail?
That's correct. Yep.
and is that more for, because the crowd, there's so many people? I'm just trying to.
I
get the
think
No,
point.
that-
I agree with you.
I think that's the sheer
Yeah,
size, right? We
the
were
size.
talking
Okay.
about 2,000, 2 to 3,000 people. That's a public safety issue just from traffic standpoint, not just intoxication. That's just an event
Yeah.
protocol for safety measures.
Yeah, and anytime you have that many people in an area.
Correct,
Right.
yeah.
You want to have,
Public safety.
yeah.
Right, yeah.
Right.
I can think of events we did back in Harry Potter days where we wanted to have a police detail there because we wanted to avoid any kind of psychic contagion thing.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to have a
That's a good question,
discussion
though. That's a-
about that. But I did notice that our police chief did not bring that up. That wasn't one of the points in your memo.
Yep.
So I'm assuming if it was a concern of his, that would have been brought
That would
up.
have brought
But I
up,
still
yeah.
thought it was an important discussion to have tonight. So, thank you.
I think we've covered this pretty
I'm
well,
looking for a motion.
and I'm comfortable with it.
I know.
Yes.
Have at
we
it.
know.
I had not prepared a motion. I move that the town, that this select board approve these guidelines for farmers markets at Swayze Parkway.
Second. Are you
And if-
going to read them?
Are you talking about 1 through 5, those guidelines?
The guidelines in the memo in our packet.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
If you want something sharper, I can.
I'm
I can
gonna vote
withdraw.
nay on that motion because I think we need to be very specific in the
Okay.
motion.
Okay, I'll withdraw my motion.
Can you withdraw yours?
I will withdraw my
Thank you.
second. It's always on you, Nico.
I'm good now.
Oh, you want me to make it?
Well, you have specifics. that you'd
They're right
like.
here.
You want me to read it?
No,
Okay.
I will entertain a motion for the select board to authorize sales and sampling at the farmer's market under the following requirements. All vendors must supply a copy of a liquor license and insurance, naming the town as the insured before they can participate. These should be kept on file at both the town and with SCL. The liquor license for the town charges is paid by vendors to participate, $200 per vendor per year per event. Any events outside of the SCL's farmers market would need to pay the fee. Again, any other events that qualify as farmers markets must follow the same policies as SCL applies to its vendors. Limit no more than 2 vendors per week. Limit the number of samples one person can buy per week to 3 per day per person while following the RSA guidelines on sample sizes. Any instances of noncompliance with the policy will result in the vendor no longer being able to participate in any extra markets or events.
Second.
Okay. Does it matter if it's insured or co-insured? Okay.
I'm going to just,
Because you said insured, I
Yeah.
just want to make sure we're doing it. Okay,
I think-
good.
I think we're-
Got it.
Co-insured is insured.
motion and a second. Is there
Okay.
any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you for what you do.
They'll be so thrilled.
Good.
I know it makes a huge difference, and we love managing the market. I'm so lucky, so thank
And
you.
our health officer does go down and check on the farmer's market.
Good.
frequently.
But I hope to see you all.
I just want to say again, please.
Yeah.
It's not the farmer's market. It's the
We have
future.
to look
And
at
Mr.
the-
Bisson, you know, if we get permits like that, we're going to probably be asking a lot of you to make sure that it's policed. So, right?
Yep.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to seeing the same happy smiles on your patrons wandering up Water Street that we see during the Beer and Chili Fest.
Okay.
I don't think that will happen with 12 ounces.
Slightly happy.
Okay.
Slightly happy.
Thank you for what you do.
Okay, Mr. Bisson, you've got more.
Yes, I'm back. Spray pad surfacing. Great to give you an update that we found several leaks when we opened up the spray pad, so they've been all repaired, and now it's final touches. Unfortunately, the grant we did apply for through Life Floor, we did not receive. We are actually approaching you to go with a similar, and I'm sorry if the memo the image moved on me. We're looking to do a new, it's a rubber flake that mimics epoxy, and Miss Roy has been in the pool house since we did the epoxy floors, and they look outstanding. This would be a similar look to it, but it'd be rubber, so it'd be a nice cushion to it. As you can see, surfacing for aquatics is expensive, and we found the most cost-effective one at $72.26.55. So we're recommending Rubberize It, who we've done our due diligence. They're in several water parks throughout the country. We're looking to utilize the Park Improvement Fund, and I gave you a balance of, after this expenditure, will be down to $6,818.45.
Thank you for doing that. Any questions for Mr. Bisson? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to authorize the Parks and Recreation Department to purchase 10 kits of rubber flakes from Rubberize It in the amount of $7,226.55, which will be funded through the Parks Improvement Fund.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
And last one is just a procedural thing. I've been working with Corey and Melissa and the state to close out Planet Playground grant. We apologize it's actually taken so long. They had a backlog, but in 2025, they changed how they want the motions made, and then we have to register them. Reason being, LWCF has unfortunately lost a lot of land from municipalities and schools that sell it without knowing there's a grant attached to it. So by doing this, it will be able to process it. Melissa will be able to sign the maps. I got to go to the Registry of Deeds, register it with the form they gave me, and then we can get our money back.
Terrific.
Is that going to happen fairly soon? And the reason, okay, because I didn't know if we had to add town manager or Melissa Roy interim, but we're good.
If Melissa can sign it, I can get that. They'll send me the maps this week.
Oh, perfect. Fine.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good
Forget
question,
my,
though. Any other questions? I would entertain a motion to resolve that Melissa Roy, interim town manager, to duly authorize and enter into agreements and/or amendments on behalf of the town of Exeter with the state of New Hampshire, acting by and through the Department of Natural and Cultural Resources for the Land and Water Conservation Fund Grant Project 33-00763 Recreation Park 2, and to further authorize and is further authorized to execute any documents on behalf of this municipality which may be, in their judgment, desirable or necessary for the purpose of this resolution.
so moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Greg.
Melissa?
Okay. So let's see. So this last 2 weeks, we held our internal leadership meeting on the 7th. I did attend Nancy Bugby's funeral services, which were last Friday, so wishing her family lots of thoughts. Kathy Croto, our longtime administrative clerk in the Building and Planning Department, did retire, and we do wish her all the best and thank you for all of her years of service. Kathy, if you've ever met Kathy, she's just a lovely lady. I did have to cover the welfare department while Pam McElroy got to attend to the marriage of her son with their friends and family, so very exciting. So I was working on that the last week or so. And I'd like to remind everybody that the Exeter Egg Hunt is this Saturday, April 4th at the Recreation Park, so don't forget to check that out with Parks and Recreation. And again, I want to thank the board for supporting and hiring the new town manager. We really looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Melissa, what time's the egg hunt?
Sure. So preschool is at 10 a.m. Grades K to 2 follows the preschool, and grades 3 to 5 follows K to 2. It's a little tricky because you never know how long the preschool kids will take. So just come down and check it out.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
Select Board Committee reports. Selectwoman Gilman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have, first I want to say something from the Energy Committee that I neglected to say at our last meeting. There is a presentation about heat pumps, how they work. I don't know if they're doing cost, but at least an information session. And it's March 31st, so a couple days from now, from 6:30 to 8 in the, tomorrow, 6:30 to 8 o'clock at the library. We met with the Tax Exemption and Credit Advisory Committee, and what they talked about was how we're going to figure out if we want to change how solar arrays are added, but we have to go by state law, so there's only a certain a certain amount we can do or not do. The 250 Commission met, and the only notes I wrote do not reflect any specific dates, except for on May 9th is an event that I don't know what it is. I'm sorry, please watch the meeting, but I will be presenting.
Is that the event in the town hall with the author of Nations Apart?
I don't know, because I'm going to be there talking about the mass tree riots here in Exeter, so I'm not sure it goes with it. I think it's something to do with Conservation Commission. And I'm sorry, I don't remember. And excuse me, that's it for town meetings.
Thank you. Selectwoman Belanger, please.
I had a planning board meeting last Thursday, March 26th. That was at 497 Portsmouth Ave. The planning board case number is 26-3. We discussed an abutter objection letter. It was an attorney for the abutter. And the planning board voted that the objections raised in the letter didn't really have any merit, that it was a different type of application. Then we formally accepted the application, and then we tabled it because there was a concern voiced by the applicant's attorney, and I thought this was really great of them. They were concerned that an abutter hadn't been properly noticed, and their attorney had reached out that they didn't have time to prepare. So it was agreed by the planning board and the abutter, and the applicant that we were going to table that until it's not until April 23rd at 7 p.m. because there wasn't really going to be time on April 9th. So that's why it's going out a month.
Thank you.
And that's it for my report.
Selectwoman Cowan.
I have nothing to report.
Selectwoman Chartran.
I met with the Facilities Advisory Committee on Wednesday, the 25th of March at 5:30. It was a short meeting. It went about 20 minutes, and that included Mr. Whitehouse showing up and asking when we're going to get the styrofoam densifier up and running. And both Carol and myself asked him to attend Sustainability Advisory this Wednesday and express those concerns at that meeting.
Perfect.
The Facility Advisory Committee has not been dealing with the styrofoam densifier. There was also a question about, traditionally, Mr. Sharples has been our staff side support person for Facilities Advisory. I know we're trying to keep him focused on less things, not more. So it might be good to figure out who the staff side support for facilities advisory might be.
We've actually given that some thought. When Mr. Cohn starts, we want to run that by him, but I think in the interim, Melissa will be.
Yes. Unfortunately, I had another emergency. I had to tell Mark I couldn't be there, but I will be joining those meetings. And as a follow-up to Keith's request about the styrofoam intensifier, I know he spoke with Director Cronin today to get an update, and they're working on that. There was some issue with power and different things, but they are working on it, and they actually spoke about it this morning.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
All the concerns are resolved?
Easy.
I didn't have any committee meetings, but I was invited to Riverwoods since our last meeting to meet with a group of folks that meet on the third Wednesday of every month. And they have a different subject matter having to do with government, whether it be federal, state, or local. And they wanted to chat for an hour about local government, particularly budgets and so forth. And it was well attended, and it was a lot of fun, and I love meeting with those folks. So I want to thank John and Skip for inviting me. If I could just say one thing back to the planning board, because I did have somebody reach out to me after that meeting, and I think it's important to note, and I'm really not going to get into the weeds here, but I just want to say that our land use boards and our select board encourage public input.
Yes.
I will say the select board almost vigorously encourages public input. It's how we do it's how we do our job.
Yeah.
And particularly with public comment, we stretch things so that folks do have the opportunity to speak to us, as long as they want to speak to us. I know in our policies and procedures, I think public comments to be limited to 3 minutes, and we don't hold people to that. For the land use boards, again, if there's, an open case and it's open, I watch your meetings, you're there, but Chair Plummer makes sure that everybody in the room gets to say everything they want to say, sometimes 2 or 3 times,
Yes.
before he brings it back to the board. So I'm going to leave it at that, but I want folks in town that may not watch our meetings and maybe are hearing things that, no, public input
Is very important.
encouraged. It's important, it's encouraged. There are rules and procedures, of course, with public hearings, opening them, closing them, bringing it back to the board, but everybody gets an opportunity to speak.
And if I just might, it's because the planning, that particular application was already tabled and voted on, we could not do a public comment when that has been tabled. It wasn't even closed. There was no time for public comment. We hadn't gotten that far. Mr. Sharples usually introduces an application, and in this particular case, our interim town planner was doing it. But there is a process that we have to follow. But yes, we always have public comment, but it's timed at the right time. So
Thank you. Thank you for indulging me.
Yeah, I would say that it's not only encouraged, it's respectful public comment is essential to the process working well. So whoever feels like we don't want to hear from folks at this board or at the land use boards or any committee, commission, or board, it's not true. We do better when we get that great input from the public. And our meeting tonight is a great example. Yep. The gentleman, Mr. Furlong, that gave us that input, it's timely. We haven't even started our budget process yet, so it's
part of the democratic process.
It is.
It's essential for it to work well. Yep.
But we do have a process that we have to follow, and I am sorry that there were a few people there that wanted to speak to that application and that they have to come back, but unfortunately, that's part of the process, and sometimes things get tabled.
Right.
Mr. Chair, if I could take this time to do my report from the state before we go
Sure.
into correspondence.
Please.
I'm going to make it as quick as I can.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the board. First, I'd like to just quickly tell you about 3 bills that have gone to the governor for signature. They will take a little time to be processed. Sorry, to be processed for any errors of language or conflicts in RSAs before they actually hit her desk. One is moving the state primary to June. That's HB 481. HB 639 has to do with blockchain, which is data mining, cybercoin.
Bitcoin.
Never remember the word. And HB 340 talks about electioneering by town employees. It is good that it's talking about somebody sitting in a chair behind a desk here can't say, oh, you should go elect one of us or a president or something. But it's vague enough that making presentations about something on the warrant, like to explain why the
What the snow and ice fund is, that kind of thing.
Snow and ice fund or the street sweeper.
Yep.
Why we're doing it, not that we want you to say yes.
We're talking
but
about educating them.
What it means to do these things. And so I'm concerned that, like our planning board will have some presentation on an initiative that our town planner will present somewhere over in the town hall, that they won't be able to do that because they're endorsing whatever it is when it's just an explanation like for the getting input on the roundabouts. It's not that they're endorsing it, they want your input. But this bill is vague enough that those things should be considered electioneering. And then bills that are still in the Senate, one is to elect school districts by partisan, as partisan members. And another one is similar, that your party identification must be listed on the ballot. And the way that one is written, everybody who's being elected must identify themselves by their party. So that goes down to Robinson Trust. They just say candidate. They don't say candidate for what. Another, school boards should be elected by the town they represent only. So Exeter being in a cooperative school district also elects members from other towns. And this bill would just say Newfields can only Newfields can elect their district representative, for example. There's a bill for single ballot at primaries. So you don't have to choose one or the other or change your party status. There's one that has to do with the ZBA appeal process, and that's the title. But what it really does is kind of defang, or not defang, I don't want to use a really negative word, but make the process that for the planning board be much less and have less control. And there was just one more. Oh, requiring municipalities to hold a public hearing, and I'm sorry, I didn't give you any of those bill numbers, to conduct a roll call vote when seeking to override a tax or spending cap. And it includes SB2 towns. I can see at a traditional town meeting getting a roll call is great. But an SB2 town like ours with how many thousands of voters do we have? Where are we going to do a roll call? And it doesn't just say at the deliberative session, it just says voters. So these things have to be, and that one's in my committee. So tell me your thoughts, and I'll let you know. Everybody on one side doesn't like it. Those are the things that I noted down real quick. There's more.
We appreciate the update. Thank you. And thank you for the work you're doing up there.
Can I just ask one question?
course.
I just want to make sure I'm clear. There's a bill that's being put or given to the governor to either sign or veto to move our primary. Are we talking about the one in September? Could be moved to June?
Yeah.
Yes.
The state
Okay,
primary.
I just didn't know if it was like for a
So-
future one,
so
so,
state
okay, that's
represents-
interesting.
So it won't go into effect this year.
Right.
That's what I was looking for, I didn't use the right language.
Yeah,
Thank
it's
you.
2020.
Not effective, that's why I said September to be this June, so no.
But it means
Okay.
state reps and governor, et cetera, will all be campaigning during their whole session time.
Whatever, I just wanted to see if we needed to think about our calendar, voting calendar, that's all. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Selectwoman Gilman. Moving into correspondence, we have an email from the Community Power Coalition informing us that Henry Herndon's been named the Executive Director of CPCNH. We have our NHMA legislative update, and Melissa, did you want to speak to the email that you received, notice of public hearing?
Sorry, I can't remember what's in there. Sorry. Oh, this was the waste, the plant in Epping.
Yep.
And you guys had previously supported a letter, so I did forward it on to Conservation and Kristen
Good.
for more information, but I did want everybody to see that there was going to be a public hearing. Sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah, I did sign up for the Zoom in case I don't get
Yeah.
to Epping, there is a Zoom option.
Oh, good.
I don't know what's wrong with me today.
So the board calendar, April 13th, April 27th, May 4th, May 18th, June 1st, June 15, and June 29. Those are all Mondays.
Let's see.
I won't be here June 29th, but you'll have a new town manager, so you won't need me.
We'll always need you. Okay, if there's no other business before the board, I would entertain a motion to go into non-public under RSA 91A 32A.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please.
Selectman Chartrand.
Aye.
Selectwoman Cowan.
Aye.
Selectwoman Gilman.
Aye.
Clerk says aye, Mr. Chair.
Aye, motion passes 5-0. The board will be going into non-public. Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast Channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government